Welcome to our finals match for the face-to-face 1K Legacy side event. This is Naya Depths versus Trevor on Sneak and Show that we saw in round 1. So Kieran, I think this is his second Legacy event. I think he said this was his second big Legacy event that he's played. I don't doubt it because he had to double check a bunch of cards that are pretty much legacy staples. So we're gonna see Kieran, his opening hand there. It's a good mix of what Naya Depths wants to do. So we have a turn 1 Elvish Reclaimer into a turn 3 Knight. We're gonna see Trevor's hand as he was seeded number 1, so he was on the play. He got the choice. He's gonna crack a Scalding Tarn. Gonna find an island, and I think this is a Ponder. Yeah, so Trevor ponders, sneak, show and tell, ancient tomb, force of will, and immediately shuffles. So I wonder what he is looking for. I think he might be looking for a threat for a show and tell in hand to find. Trevor gonna draw off of the ponder. Finds another ponder. Pass the turn. Kieran gonna draw for turn. Draws a Flagstones of Trocaire. Gonna play Savannah into Elvish Reclaimer, I presume. No, there's a Green Sun Zenith. So Green Sun Zenith. He was gonna try to get a Dryad Arbor. Trevor doesn't want him ahead on mana, so he dazes the Green Sun Zenith, plays the island that he returned, plays another Ponder, so we're repeating turn 1. Mountain, Lotus Petal, no threat there, so we're gonna immediately shuffle once again and try to hit a threat off of the random card drawn off the Ponder. I think Ponder is now okay to be in Modern, now that Bowmasters is around. So Trevor gonna draw. It is a Simian Spirit Guide. He is looking. I'm a little. So he is looking for a threat. He can show and tell the sneak attack in, but then the sneak attack will do nothing. Trevor finds Preordain off the top. He's gonna cast the Preordain, so cantrip after cantrip. Finds another sneak attack and a polluted delta. He's gonna bottom both. Draw a random card off the Preordain. Finds Otawara Soaring City. Gonna play the Otawara and pass the turn. Kieran draws the Dryad Arbor for turn. He's gonna play a Wasteland and Wasteland Otawara. This leaves him to Elvish Reclaimer his Flagstones to get a utility land and then still keep up in mana. So that was a good tempo play for Kieran. Trevor plays Ancient Tomb into Show and Tell. Has he found a threat? It looks like it's going to resolve. Trevor going to put in Gristlebrand. Kieran puts in Knight of the Reliquary. I think one of these creatures are a little bit better than the other. Not sure what is happening. I think... So this is Kieran's hand. Yavimaya, Dryad Arbor, Thespian Stage, Sajiri Steep. Is it Step or Steep? Or Stepepe? Alright, so we're gonna use this Elvish Reclaimer, crack the Flagstones. Most likely gonna get a Savannah. I think that is Caracas. I think that's the Lord of the Rings Caracas. Okay, so we're gonna get a Plateau from the Flagstones, and then we're gonna get the Caracas from Elvish Reclaimer. Gonna pass the turn. Gonna draw for... And he top decks Minsk and Boo. There's Yavimaya. Do we bounce the Caracas? Or do we bounce the Gristlebrand with the Caracas? It's gonna happen immediately. Trevor gonna pay 7 life to draw 7 cards in response to the Caracas. Let's see what he gets. Ancient Tomb, Gristlebrand, Ponder, Daze. Flooded Trend, Force of Will, Emrakul, Brainstorm. I think another Sneak Attack and a Simian Spirit Guide. So Kieran activating Knight of the Reliquary, sacrificing the Savannah now that Yavimaya is giving him all of the green mana that he needs. Going to get a Urza's Saga. Fascinating. I don't think I've seen Urza's Saga in regular Naya Depths lists. The list is already quite tight. It's pretty hard to fit in an Urza's Saga package. Although it could just be a Shadow Spear and a Pithing Needle. That is still 6 or 7 cards. There's a Minskin Boo. So we floated Savannah, activated Knight of the Reliquary, got the Urza Saga, and that puts us to 4 mana. So Minskin Boo will resolve. Very curious as to why. Trevor has so many cards in hand, and he has, I think, multiple Force of Wills. His Force of Wills don't interact very well against Despine Stage and Dark Depths. So I'm pretty sure the threat you would have wanted to do or stop here, prevent, is the Minskin Boo. Knight is a 5/5. So if you plus... Oh, he's minusing. Minusing Knight? So he's going to throw Knight, bring him down to 5, attack, bring Trevor down to 1, because the Elvish Reclaimer is a 3/4. So this prevents Trevor from using Ancient Tomb. Trevor finds a Lotus Petal off the top for his turn. Plays Lotus Petal. Plays Flooded Strand. Can't use it. There's a Simian Spirit Guide. So I think Trevor conceded that game. He was just showing Kieran what was happening there. So I think that was probably a blunder from Trevor there. Letting that Minskin Boo resolve was a fatal mistake. So we're gonna see Trevor's sideboard plan here. Oh, those 3 Blood Moons definitely should be coming in. And what are we cutting? I think you would want to cut another Preordain before a Brainstorm. Well, in a Daze. Okay, I don't hate it. So out comes Preordain, Daze, and then Archon, I think, is the card he cut in the middle there. So Kieran bringing in triple Pyroblast, Choke. Great cards. Love Choke. Choke is goated. We saw it earlier in the tournament series from Naya Depths as well. I think we're gonna ask Kieran here to reveal what he cut. So cut Sylvan Library, Prismatic Ending, Endurance, Bajuka Bog. So all of these are irrelevant cards and really good to cut. You don't Show and Tell doesn't really care about his graveyard, so Endurance not great. Prismatic Ending, they don't really have any threatening permanents that don't do anything in greater than 1 turn. So for example, Sneak Attack. Sneak Attack is probably the most problematic permanent that Prismatic Ending can deal with in Naya Depths. It does have access to multiple colors. Not sure if Kieran is running the Mox Diamond version, but if he is not, then he is also cutting Bajuka Bog, which offers him the 4th color of mana that would be used for Sneak Attack. But yeah, so cutting the 2 Graveyard Hate pieces, which is Endurance and Bajuka Bog, cutting the Prismatic Ending. Games don't last very long because Sneak and Show is considered a fast combo deck, so Sylvan Library not impactful very much in this game. Can't even really use it for extra fodder for something like Force of Vigor or Endurance because you're cutting the Endurance anyway. So Trevor is going to be on the play here. Looking at his opening, Brainstorm, Daze, Blood Moon, and only, I think, one land was shown, and I think it was an Ancient Tomb, so not where you want to be. Kieran looking at a Wasteland, Arid Mesa, Sajiri Steppe, Plateau, Pithing Needle, Sylvan Library, Pyroblast. So nothing really going on for his main game plan. A lot of disruption, which is very good. Does have a second Sylvan Library in there, so that can help smooth out his draws and try to get him to his threats. This probably does help him play around Daze if he's going to play the slow game plan here and just try to disrupt Trevor as much as possible. The Pithing Needle can name Sneak Attack or, Gristlebrand if that's Trevor's choice of threat. So we're going to see double Gristlebrand, one of them being pitched, Show and Tell, Sneak Attack, Preordain, Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal. So this is a turn 1 Show and Tell into Sneak Attack if Trevor wanted to. However, he doesn't have another red to activate the Sneak Attack, which is problematic. Looks like he's just gonna try to Show and Tell, put a Gristlebrand in turn 1. Kieran is gonna put in Pithing Needle. Pithing Needle naming Gristlebrand, I presume. I think there was a couple guys chirping Trevor saying that's rough. Kieran finds a Swords to Plowshare right off the top. Gives him 7 points of life back. Trevor is sitting on an Ancient Tomb, gets to Preordain, looks at Lotus Petals, Scalding Tarn off the top. I think you can put Scalding Tarn on the top, bottom the petal. Gonna draw off the Preordain. Draws a second Swords to Plowshare. Plays a Wasteland, gonna take away the Ancient Tomb, so preventing Trevor from playing as much as possible. There's a Scalding Tarn that he topped off the Preordain. Gonna cast a Brainstorm, so now he has a way to fetch. Trevor only has one card in hand, so we're gonna Pyroblast the Brainstorm and continue to prevent Trevor from playing as much as possible. Kieran gonna crack the Arid Mesa. Going to find Savannah. Probably gonna play the Sylvan Library. There we go. I think this is a pass back to Trevor. Trevor draws. It is a second Scalding Tarn. I think he's just gonna pass back. So Kieran gonna Sylvan Library, Flagstones, Swords, Windswept Heath. I think you already have a Search to Plowshare. You don't really need the second land. You have no... Oh, you do have a crop rotation. So you could just take the Flagstones here and just be done with it, because you get to shuffle away the other two cards. Kieran opts to take 4 for the extra Swords to Plowshares. Plays the Flagstones, passes the turn. Trevor gonna crack the Scalding Tarn, go down to 24. Finds a Mountain. So playing around his own Blood Moon and ensuring that he has red mana to play or activate the Sneak Attack. So now Trevor is playing blind off the top, just trying to find any threat that he can. Gristlebrand, Atraxa, Emrakul. If he has Omniscience, he can't really play it, so I think he was saying that Archon of Cruelties were in instead of Omnisciences. There's a crop rotation, floating 1 white mana, sacrificing Flagstones, triggers Flagstones of Trocaire. He gets to find any basic, finds a basic Plains. I think he's afraid of Blood Moon as well. So he's just going to make sure he has all of his colors of mana. So what is the land that he's going to find off of the crop rotation? I think he's considering a Dark Depths. I think if you're going to go this route, I think you want to go Thespian Stage before Dark Depths, because it does something Unless Kieran's intention is to start taking ice counters off. So I don't think there's anything that he can use the floating white mana for. Yeah, so he's just gonna go back to his turn. We're gonna Sylvan Library once again. There's a Choke, Windswept Heath, Thespian Stage. So he finds the other half of his combo. So he's gonna play Thespian Stage. He's gonna choke. I probably would have tapped the Thespian Stage for mana and probably kept open a white source. Looks like he's regretting it now. So Trevor not in a great position here. He needs to find any threat, but there's not a lot of them in the deck. What does he rip off of the top? He passes the turn. Kieran finds 2 Windswept Heaths and a Ramunap Excavator. Draws the Excavator. I think at this point you just want to play land and pass. Actually, you might not even want to play the land, because if you activate Thespian Stage to make Dark Depths or make Merit Lodge, you want to play Sejiri Step and make it so that if he ever has like Gristlebrand or Traxa or any of the black cards, then like Trevor won't be able to block it. Kieran opts to play Ramunap Excavator instead. Ooh. Oh, Trevor rips Emrakul off the top and immediately activates Sneak Attack. So this Emrakul cannot be taken out by Swords to Plowshares. So if Kieran did not play the Ramunap Excavator, he would have been able to make Merit Lodge, sack every other permanent other than the Merit Lodge token, and block the Emrakul. And I think casting that Ramunap Excavator cost him the game. I don't think you needed to wasteland the Ancient Tomb, because Trevor was already, like, he already had the mana. He already played the Sneak Attack out. So he was just looking for a threat. And there's no way he's going to use the Ancient Tomb to cast one of those threats, because he's just going to put it in through Sneak Attack. So I think that was a little bit of a greedy play by Kieran. Definitely, probably would have, like, no matter what, I think I would have wanted to go the Merit Lodge and get Merit Lodge out as soon as possible, because Trevor has 22 points of life. He doesn't die from one attack of Merit Lodge. He would need multiple combats. That might have also taken, like, we can take that into account why Kieran played the Ramunap Excavator. If he played the Ramunap Excavator, he would have been able to attack for 2 damage. But that doesn't make sense either, because if Trevor wanted to use the Ancient Tomb and you attacked with a 20/20 Merit Lodge, it would put Trevor down to 2. So he wouldn't be able to use that Ancient Tomb anyway. Yeah, I think casting the Ramunap Excavator was the blunder there, and it cost Kieran the game. But you couldn't have known that Emrakul was coming off the top, because he did have 2 Swords to Plowshares for any of the other threats. So it looks like there was no changes to the boards. Kieran is now going to be on the play, which is a big advantage over Trevor, because Trevor still playing Dazes. So if Kieran can get ahead on mana with the Green Sun Zenith, he is as good as gold. Wow, there's a Birds of Paradise. We haven't seen one of those in a long time in Legacy. This looks like a snap keep. So we're going to play Yavimaya into Birds of Paradise. This is a turn 2 Knight of the Reliquary. Does not do it. Okay. So there's Island Preordained. Looks at Ponder Lotus Petal. We have we have 2 threats, Archon and Gristlebrand, but no way of putting them in. We also have a sneak attack. So just looking for a show and tell. Okay, so we play Savannah. Not sure why we didn't play Birds of Paradise on turn 1. We could have had a Knight of the Reliquary on this turn. So Trevor untaps. Plays plays a Brainstorm. So draws 3 cards. So he draws Emrakul, Preordained, Ancient Tomb. So still drawing threats. Complete opposite of last game, where Trevor was able to deploy his big things or threatening things very quickly, but finding no threats. Now we have plenty of threats, no way of getting them onto the board. However, because we do have the sneak attack in this Ancient Tomb now, and a Lotus Petal, sneak attack is a very relevant threat. You're gonna untap, draws Green Sun Zenith. He might be a turn too slow now that he didn't play the Birds of Paradise on turn 1. There's a Green Sun Zenith for 1. Gonna find Elvish Reclaimer. I think is the only 1-drop. I don't think I saw a Sylvan Safekeeper. Trevor gonna untap. Draws a card for turn. It is another Preordain. Cast Preordain. Look at the top 2. Gonna top 1, bottom the other. Draws. Finds the Show and Tell. Alright. Does he not have the Ancient Tomb? There we go. So now we are activating Show and Tell. So we can Pyroblast the Show and Tell with the Birds of Paradise. Exactly why it's there. Perfect. Alright, so now Trevor gonna threaten Sneak Attack next turn. There's another Knight of the Reliquary off the top for Kieran. So 2 Knight of the Reliquaries, Crop Rotation, Swords to Plowshares. Cast Knight of the Reliquary. Attack for 1 with Elvish Reclaimer. I'm gonna draw. Finds Force of Will, but no blue cards. So it takes another 2 life, sack the Lotus Petal, play a Sneak Attack. Going to sacrifice the petal, put in Emrakul. So Knight of the Reliquary can activate itself. Sacrifice Sajiri Steep because Yavimaya Cradle of Growth makes it a forest. So you can sacrifice the Sajiri Steep to find Karakas before Emrakul attacks. He also has Birds of Paradise for crop rotation. Oh, he has to use crop rotation because Knight of the Reliquary has Summoning Sickness. There's Bob the Fly, earlier named by Anton. So there's crop rotation. Probably gonna find Karakas. There's a Farakis in Karakas. There we go. We're gonna activate the Karakas, return the Emrakul to the hand, and I think Trevor just has to pass the turn. He has Emrakul, Gristlebrand, Archon in his hand, and a Force of Will. Force of Will with no other blue cards. So I think he's surprised that Kieran kept in crop rotations against Day's Force of Will. Which is true. The moment I see a Force of Will, I cut all my crop rotations. There's a second Sajiri Steep. Step? I don't know how I'm pronouncing that. We're gonna consider our options here. We have Source of Plowshare, Knight of the Reliquary, into another Sajiri Step. Play the Sajiri Step. Give Knight protection from whatever color. Looks like he's gonna pass the turn. I think I would probably be greedy, and I would probably use the Birds of Paradise to play the second Knight of the Reliquary. Yeah, okay, so he's also doing the greedy play as well. So leaving the Karakas up, hoping that Trevor doesn't have 2 sources of red mana. There's a Brainstorm. Looks at Days, Blood Moon, Ancient Tomb. So still no red source of mana here. So Gristlebrand, Archon, Force of Will, Emrakul, Blood Moon, Ancient Tomb, Days. So he has to put 2 of these cards back. These Knight of the Reliquaries are 3 3s. And it looks like Trevor is conceding. Kieran is the victor and winner of the face-to-face Legacy 1K side event. Thanks everyone for watching all of these matches and rounds. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm looking to cover upcoming larger events. I think the next one we're going to be covering is our Legacy of the North 32-man 1K Invitational. I think that'll be filmed and recorded on August 26th or 27th. So we'll see what happens. I will most likely return to streaming, and most of it will be back to our regular stuff. So hope to see you in our Twitch streams.